thank you, Eric, for that incredibly kind introduction. And before I begin, let's offer our appreciation and gratitude to the entire Alta Refrigeration team for hosting us at this historic event. Thank you. It has been 33 years since a vice president visited Fayette County. Some of y'all may remember. In 1992, February of 1992, Vice President Dan Quayle came to Fayette County. He visited Fayette County High School, and he went to Malier's Barbecue, for those of you who remember that wonderful place. In fact, Justin, Alta's incredible executive vice president, was there, and so too was our sheriff, Barry Babb. And 33 years later, we stand in one of the best places in our state to do business. The community we built, the community we have built and the economic environment that we have created continue to invite investment from all across the world, and I'd like to acknowledge some of the local elected leaders who are responsible for this success. Fayette County Sheriff Barry Babb. Fayette County Judge Jason Thompson and his wife Alicia Thompson. Peachtree City Mayor Kim Leonard. Peachtree City Mayor Pro Tem, one of my good friends, Clint Holland. Peachtree City Councilwoman and someone who, along with Nancy Holland, is very responsible for the success of this event, Suzanne Brown. Peachtree City Councilwoman Laura Johnson. Former Peachtree City Mayor Steve Brown. Former Peachtree City Mayor and my first boss in politics, Harold Logston. Former Peachtree City Councilman Mike King. Tyrone Mayor, just up the road, Tyrone Mayor Eric Dial. Tyrone Councilwoman Jessica Whalen. This gentleman is the Dean of the Mayors of Fayette County. We've got Woolsey Mayor Gary Lagos. State Representative Karen Mafiak. And my predecessor, former Congressman Drew Ferguson. Now, if I can also ask all of the brave men and women of our law enforcement to stand up so that we can acknowledge your service. Thank you for protecting our community. Fayette County is one of the best places in our state to do business, but Georgia is consistently ranked the #1 state in our country to do business, so I'd like to acknowledge some of the statewide elected officials who are here with us that have helped deliver that success. You just heard from him, our Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who was recently endorsed by President Trump to be the next governor of our great state, Burt Jones. We have with us Labor Commissioner Barbara Rivera Holmes, Public Service Commissioner Fitz Johnson, who is up for re-election this year, and my incredible colleagues in Congress. We'll start with Congressman Buddy Carter from Southeast Georgia, Congressman Andrew Clyde, a United States Navy veteran, Congressman Rich McCormick, a United States Marine Corps veteran, and Congressman Mike Collins, our neighbor whose father, Mac, ably represented Peachtree City for 12 years. Mike Collins. Thank you also to Coach Derek Dooley for joining us. It is an honor today to welcome Vice President J.D. Vance and 2 members of President Trump's cabinet, Administrator Lee Zeldin and Administrator Kelly Loeffler, to my hometown of Peachtree City. My career path started on Willow Bend Road at Peachtree City Hall. And that path eventually led me to the White House to serve the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, for 8 straight years. And when you work for President Trump for nearly a decade, you certainly learn a lot. And a lesson that I very much valued was the importance of promises made and promises kept. President Trump is the absolute best at this. He has single-handedly reoriented our electorate to present to elected officials a very simple equation. How many promises did you make and how many promises have you kept? And throughout my campaign for Congress, I made a consistent set of promises to each and every one of you. I promised to vote to make permanent the Trump tax cuts that were set to expire at the end of this year. I promised to vote to unleash America's energy potential by unlocking our vast lands for energy exploration. And I promised to vote to secure our southern border by providing the resources necessary to finally fund President Trump's border wall. And I, along with my colleagues here, delivered on every one of those promises by voting to pass and enact President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. I also promised to continue the historic deregulation that President Trump achieved during his first term. And one of my first actions in Congress was to fulfill this important pledge. Just down the road in Peachtree City is the corporate headquarters of Rinnai America Corporation. Rinnai builds tankless water heaters, and they do so at a state-of-the-art facility in Griffin. Their CEO, Frank Windsor, and their VP, Perry McGuire, are here in attendance today. And shortly after I was sworn in, Frank and Perry reached out, and they explained they had a problem. You see, on December 26, 2024, the day after Christmas, when all of us were with our families, the Biden administration imposed a job-killing regulation on tankless water heaters that would have effectively closed a factory in our district. Hundreds of jobs and millions of dollars in investment in our community could have been lost. Rinnai asked me for help, and I got to work. So in January, my colleagues and I introduced legislation that repealed that Biden regulation. In February, House leadership put our legislation on the floor, and it earned a bipartisan majority as it passed. In April, the United States Senate passed it, and in May, I stood by President Trump in the Oval Office as he signed into law our legislation that repealed a job-killing Biden regulation and saved hundreds of jobs in our community. Because of this success, the leadership here at ALTA reached out to me and said they had their own challenges they needed help navigating. And again, I got to work. You see, in 2023, the Biden administration imposed a sweeping set of accelerated regulations on the refrigeration industry. The regulations very specifically targeted the cold storage warehouses that are manufactured here in this facility. And if these regulations go into effect next year, the cost of production would be 2 to 3 times higher than what it is today. My team and I continue to work diligently with the incredible staff of President Trump's and Administrator Zeldin's Environmental Protection Agency to support the 150 hardworking Georgians at ALTA, and I look forward to delivering regulatory relief to each and every one of you today. When I ran for Congress, I didn't necessarily expect to be a congressional champion for commercial appliances. But deregulation across our community is a promise I made and a promise I kept. A final promise I made to you, the citizens of our district, was to invite America's leaders to our part of Georgia to see firsthand the incredible things happening in Georgia's 3rd Congressional District. During my campaign for the Republican nomination, we had Ben Carson, Jim Jordan, and Kari Lake visit. Last October, President Trump hosted an event in the 3rd Congressional District for the first time in his political career. In April, our wonderful small business administrator, Kelly Loeffler, joined me for a small business tour in Troup County. In May, the Secretary of Energy joined me at Rinnai's tankless water heater plant in Griffin to celebrate our legislative success. And today, we welcome the 50th Vice President of the United States and 2 members of President Trump's cabinet to Peachtree City. The Vice President will be here soon, and when he arrives, let's give him our absolute warmest welcome and loudest welcome from Georgia's 3rd Congressional District. If you like tax cuts, safe streets, and cheaper gas prices, you're going to like what he has to say.